We are back at the Madras Motor Race Track in Sri Perumbudur, Tamil Nadu. The weather is a little muggy, we've got a collection of really hot cars, the Autocar India team is all hands on deck, and that can only mean one thing. It's the most wonderful time of the year for us here at Autocar India, and no, I don't mean a public holiday. It is, of course, the Autocar India Track Day, and boy do we have some variety with us here today. We've got everything from a 3-cylinder all the way to a 12-cylinder. But variety is good. Two things have always remained constant. This track and this man right here, Mr. Narain Karthikeyan. Hi Narain, how's it going?
Very good, thank you.
So tell me, what do you think about this lineup?
Well, it's a very, it's an awesome lineup this year. We have a lot of nice cars and, I'm really looking forward to this.
But also, have you noticed, of all these cars here, just a handful, maybe just one or two are still naturally aspirated, they're not turbocharged. Everything else is forced induction now.
Yes, except for the Indy Track Day car, which has a 2-liter normally aspirated engine, and the little Maruti Suzuki. I think everything is turbocharged. A turbocharged car actually delivers the power much better and so on, but I'm from the old school. I always like NA cars.
But it's not just the cars, it's also this track. It's been our home for the last 10 years and you've put down lap times for over 100 cars now.
Firstly, this track, this is a great layout, and I grew up driving here, and we have a lot of good memories. As you said, we've driven over 100 cars here. The driver and the track remains constant, so we could always do comparisons to past cars and compare it to the car lineup today.
So like you said, a phenomenal lineup here today. I can't wait to see what kind of times these cars put down. So without any further ado, let's head to the pits, set up and get this show on the road. Now yes, it is a day we all look forward to every year, but that doesn't mean it's all fun and games. We have a tight schedule and a strict regimen. All the cars have to be adequately fueled, sitting on fresh tires with the pressures bumped up by 4 psi. Our satellite-guided V-Box timing gear has to be securely strapped into place, the onboard cameras have to be mounted, and we even try to record the noise wherever possible. And of course, though we have a professional racing driver at the wheel, for cars upwards of 300 horsepower, the helmets must come on. As ever, we're going up the table from the slowest lap time to the quickest, so it's not much of a surprise that we start with the only SUV in this year's batch. The EcoSport created quite a stir back in 2013 when, with just a 1-litre engine, it set a lap time of 2:19.3. This facelifted car, however, isn't as quick, clocking in at just 2 minutes 21.39.
Dynamically, I would say, probably this has gone a bit softer in my opinion, and the engine doesn't feel so strong as the previous generation car. But there's no lap time benefits because the ESP cuts in very strongly. Probably a much more comfortable car than what it used to be, but dynamically we're giving away a lot of time.
Up next, a track day veteran, the Maruti Suzuki Swift. It may use the same engine, but it's almost 100 kgs lighter. It also set a 2 minutes 18.44 second lap time, almost a full second quicker than the old one.
The sporty feel of the first generation Swift to now, it's come down drastically, I feel, and nevertheless it's not a bad car. I think it's compromised a lot by the tires it runs. I've never heard of this brand, so I think it's exceptionally hard tire for mileage. So, these are some of the factors that probably don't add up to the lap time.
Next up, Škoda's blue-collar rocket, the Octavia RS. With more power, a lowered suspension and fatter wheels, it was so quick it almost took the crown for the fastest front-wheel drive car, posting a time of 2 minutes 6.8 seconds.
Yeah, the biggest difference from the other Škodas to the VRS, the current VRS, is obviously we feel a lot more from the engine because it has 230 horsepower. The dynamics of the car also is very capable, I must say, on the track, and for this sort of car to do a 2 minute 6 second lap here is quite an achievement. Minding you, these are standard tires which have very rounded shoulders because of wear and tear. and finally Skoda has decided to bring the entire package, not just aesthetics.
Next on the list, the second most powerful car we have with us today, the Mercedes-AMG S63 Coupe. But how come it's so far down the list? Well, you can sort of see why, can't you? Merc's opulent big coupe is based on the S-Class limo, but it's also an AMG with a 612 horsepower V8. We just had to, didn't we?
It's heavy, it's big, and it has the air suspension, so it's very comfy. But overall, it's still a lot of fun. It has a lot of torque, and it goes sideways if you want it to, and so on. So I feel bad to drive this car on the racetrack.
Now, Audis aren't always the first cars to come to mind when you think about fun driving dynamics, but every now and then Audi gets the balance and setup of one of them just right. And then, if the car also happens to have one of Audi's energetic, rev-happy and powerful engines, like a 354 horsepower turbocharged V6 under its hood, it makes for a great overall package.
Well, it's a big improvement compared to the older generation of the S5, mainly from the way the four-wheel drive system behaves. So the other car inherently had a lot of understeer built in, but now this car, it's a lot of fun. You can actually slide the car and on the track, which means you can take sharper lines, and the ride even it's quite nice, not bone-shatteringly stiff, but pretty supple. So on the road, it must be a phenomenal car to get from point A to B.
And now, breaking the 2-minute barrier is, to my eyes at least, the sexiest looking car on this list. Gorgeous in yellow, the Aston Martin DB11. But it's more than just a pretty face. Its big V12 engine sounds the part, it has plenty of grunt, the chassis lets you carry in a fair amount of speed, and it isn't too intimidating to drive quick either.
This car is really meant to cruise around and tour. It's more of a touring, a grand touring car. So probably not well suited for the track. Nevertheless, it's very competitive, and it looks stunning from the outside, and it drives the same way as it looks.
Now here's a curious one. The Porsche 718 Boxster. As ever, the chassis is superb. It is willing to attack corners, and dynamically it is pure Porsche. But downsizing has hit the Boxster hard. Gone is the screaming flat 6 engine, and in its place a turbocharged 4-cylinder.
Yeah, well, the chassis dynamically is phenomenal, as you expect from a Porsche. But then you definitely miss the flat 6, that's for sure. It doesn't have much grunt. Obviously, this is the base 718. So we have, we have 300 horsepower to play with, but the chassis is capable of handling so much more.
A significant way ahead is the most potent member of Audi's A5 brat pack, the RS5. It's got almost 100 horsepower more than the S5, as well as a stiffer, sportier chassis with a lot more grip. So it's no wonder it's a full 4 seconds quicker, clocking in a seriously impressive time of 1 minute 57.55 seconds.
I thought there would be, slightly more of a difference in lap times, but the biggest difference from that car to this car, the S5 to the RS5, is that car was a lot more easy to drive on the track, probably because it let you slide more and so on. But this car, again, it's built with a lot of understeer. So we have the four-wheel drive system kicking in, and then it really goes into the front keeps pushing until you back off the throttle.
Now this is the big head-to-head we've all been waiting for, M5 versus E63. And now you know which one was the slower of the two. The monstrous 600 horsepower twin-turbo V8 engine is as ever a big plus point, and it is phenomenally quick in a straight line. Unfortunately, the new M5 feels very skittish to drive at the limit, and that means you can't put the power down as easily.
I think the character is pretty different to the older M5, the F10 platform, but lap time wise, of course, it's faster. It has a very strong engine. It's exceptionally quick on a straight line. It's pretty heavy, and I think with all the additional four-wheel drive system and so on, it feels dynamically it feels a little bit weaker.
Next up, it's the tin-top racers from Volkswagen Motorsport, which lap the track within a second of one another. The Vento TC4A has been developed to meet new 2019 Indian touring car regulations, and it did a 1 minute 55.48 second lap. We already tested the Ameo Cup car last year, so what's it doing back at our track day? The car now has retuned springs and dampers, more torque from the engine, and much improved MRF slicks.
Obviously, a lot of safety aspects are built into the car. We have a proper roll cage 6-point harness, slick racing tires, a little bit of aero on the cars as well. So it is meant to train the young drivers, and that's exactly what it's doing.
And here it is, a full 2.5 seconds quicker than the M5, the AMG E63S. So how is it able to do that? Well, a lot of it is down to the air suspension, which sounds ironic in a track environment, but it makes the E63 so much more compliant over the bumps around the MMRT.
I mean, I'm really surprised. I drove the M5, then jumped into this car, and it just drives the track much better. So it's more compliant on the bumps and so on and so forth. Like as you said, it's been reversed now. The E-Class seems to be, the E63 AMG seems to be the benchmark, and it's the fastest sedan on the track thus far.
The 488 Spider has the distinction of being the very first Ferrari at an Autocar India track day, the most powerful car here with 670 horsepower, and also of drawing everyone's attention to it like a big red magnet. It's incredibly potent, it revs like it's not turbocharged, and it's amazingly easy to drive quickly.
Well, considering it's a Spider, no one expected it to be this fast because the torsional rigidity of the car is much lower than the normal car. Yeah, it behaves more like a normally aspirated engine, so you don't have any of this lag in the bottom end, and it goes to the red line very quickly, and it keeps pulling all the gears, and the handling is very neutral. It doesn't it doesn't catch you out anywhere. It's a very neutral behaving car, and anyone can go very quickly to the limit, I think.
The AMG GTR, in our brief encounters with it in the past, struck us as quick and loud and crazy. But today we saw firsthand what it was really meant for. It is quite simply a track weapon. And what time did it do? A 1 minute 48.36 seconds. That's right, not only was it the fastest road car of the day, it was the fastest we've ever tested here.
They say they have a lot of inputs from Lewis. I'm sure he's given his bit, and the car is so quick, unbelievable. It went faster than the previous generation GT3 RS, which held the lap record. Yes, it comes with the Michelin Cup Sport 2 tires and so on, and it is it's hard edged, very difficult to drive, and for racing drivers, it feels like a track car. I'm just surprised at how fast it went, and it's phenomenal, unbelievable. I have no words.
You might remember the JA Motorsport Indy 2.0, the car that sat at the top of our lap board for the last 5 years. Well, this is the Indy 2.0 version 2.0, with more power, better aero, and more downforce. Narain did a 1 minute 42.54 compared to the 1 minute 43.30 earlier.
It has a new motor. They've changed it from the Renault 2-liter to a Mount-tuned 2-liter engine, which has a little bit more horsepower, bigger rear wings, more aerodynamics, more downforce basically, and the car's much faster. It's fun. Not as much as the GTR though.
So there you have it, 2 lap times shattered, both for road legal cars as well as for track cars.
We at Autocar love fast motorcycles, and there's no better place to celebrate bikes like this than at the annual Autocar Track Day. Now this year, the theme is excitement, but also accessibility, and the lineup has everything from the impressive new RTR 160 to thrillers like the Triumph Street Triple RS and the Ducati Supersport S, and we even have a race bike thrown into the mix. Now as always, we have just the man for the job when it comes to setting the lap times, and that would be India's fastest motorcycle racer, Rajini Krishnan. Rajini is one of India's most recognized racers, and he certainly needs no introduction. His exceptional riding skills shine bright in the annual Autocar Track Test as well, because he manages to set blistering lap times on a huge variety of motorcycles that range from humble single-cylinder commuters to snarling superbikes. And he does all this in a brief amount of time with very little acclimatization to the motorcycles, which only makes it all the more impressive. For our 2018 track day, we start the proceedings with the most affordable and the least powerful bike here, the TVS Apache RTR 160 4V. With its new frame and more powerful engine, Rajini found the RTR to be a big improvement over its predecessor, especially in terms of refinement and a more planted feel at speed. The RTR was the first bike out on track, and it had to deal with some puddles of water left over from rain the earlier night. This did affect its lap time. Moving on, we come to one of the sweetest handling small motorcycles on sale today, the new Yamaha R15 version 3. The latest R15 is more focused than its predecessors, and Rajini liked the racy riding position, improved aerodynamics, and of course the added power that comes with the new engine's variable valve actuation system. Unfortunately, this lap time was also slightly affected by some water on the track, but the bike made up for it slightly by running an optional Metzeler M5 rear tyre. Simply put, Rajini says this is one of the best options for a beginner race bike in India. Thankfully, the track had fully dried off by the time the TVS RR310 was out. Rajini found the handsome new TVS to be highly stable and with adequate power, but he felt that its track potential was limited by its weight and the fact that the foot pegs ground a little too often, even after we removed the feeler bolts. Overall, the RR310 makes for a sporty road bike that is quite capable on track too. The RR310 race bike addresses some of Rajini's issues with the road bike, primarily through higher set foot pegs, a quick throttle, and a lighter free-flow exhaust system. Overall weight savings come up to about 13 kilos, and it also makes about 4 horsepower more than the stock motorcycle. However, it must be noted that the bike we had was running Metzeler M5 tyres, which are considerably better than the Michelin Pilot Streets that the race bike usually runs. Rajini liked these improvements as they helped shave nearly 4 seconds off the road bike's time, but he felt that the RR race bike deserved higher spec suspension, stickier rubber, and even lower weight. From the 300cc TVS bikes, we move straight to the biggest displacement bike here this year, the Ducati Supersport S. This is a road biased sports bike, and our experience of it on the street reveals that it's one of the nicest road-going Ducatis that you can buy. On the track, Rajini appreciated the strong brakes and the sophisticated Olean suspension, but he found that the Ducati was quite heavy steering.
I feel the front is too heavy. Bike is not steering very quickly. When I go into lower gear, the bike is too torquey to holding the throttle. And maybe once you will go on third, fourth gear, the bike is smoother. And otherwise, the bike is good.
The Suzuki GSX S750 makes for great value, but it also packs a serious punch. A soft rear shock and long foot peg feelers do hold it back to some extent, but the 3-level traction control will be appreciated by the less experienced.
I feel the power delivery is very quick but very smooth. Not too much aggressive but not too much slow also.
We always knew that the Street Triple RS would be fast, but we weren't expecting it to be this quick. In just a couple of laps, Rajini was able to set the third fastest time we've ever recorded at the Autocar Track Day, a time that is faster than a number of liter-class superbikes. The RS shines thanks to its light and communicative chassis, high-spec suspension, and excellent Brembo M50 brakes, which were easily the best of this lot. Now there are many fast, track-focused bikes out there, but what makes the RS special is that it is realistically usable on the road too. At the moment, there's nothing in India at this price point that can lap a racetrack faster.
I am unlucky because it's not giving proper race tire. Maybe proper race tire means other 1.5 second more easily. But very good. This kind of bike, like you can enjoy it for race track also. You can enjoy road also. The handling ways or the engine power ways, everything very good.
The results of this year's track day are quite heartening because they prove that you don't need huge money to set fast lap times on the racetrack. We had no 20 lakh rupee plus exotics this year, and the most expensive bike on test cost less than rupees 13.5 lakhs ex-showroom. Whether it's the affordable R15 or the well-priced Suzuki or the phenomenal Triumph, there's plenty of fast and fun options out there for those of you who want to hit the racetrack on a reasonable budget.